How's it going, y'all? My name is Nick. This is the Inverted.Visions YouTube channel, and welcome to another episode of Game Talk. If you're like me, you play modern games as well as retro games. Games like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Tony Hawk 1 and 2 Remake and Doom Eternal. Now that I actually say those out loud, it feels like those are actually all just older games that are just been modernized. But regardless, modern games are fun. The expansive open worlds and the immersive stories can actually be really fun to get into sometimes. But I feel like a lot of modern games, you have to play for like an hour or an hour and a half to get some sense of accomplishment out of it. Whereas in older games or in arcade style kind of games, you can play them for like 5-10 minutes and feel like you did something. And I feel like the Switch lends itself to both big open games like Breath of the Wild and whatnot, but also a lot of older or more traditional arcade style games that you can play for only a couple minutes and feel like you still got something out of it. So I'm not sure what to call these kind of games, but I'm going to call them quick fixes. So this is my 10 games for the Nintendo Switch that you can play for a couple minutes and feel like you did something. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Starting off with a classic, you gotta start off with a classic. This is Virtua Racing, released in 1992 by Sega. This game was one of the first 3D polygon video games to have some mainstream success, so it kind of ushered in a new era for video games, which is pretty cool. History aside, this is a great racing game that's still fun to this day. It's a classic arcade racing game where you have a timer that ticks down and you have to pass through checkpoints to extend your time. One cool thing I've always liked about this game is there's no music when you're racing, but when you pass through a checkpoint, a little jingle plays, and it changes every lap. So kind of a fun thing that I've always liked that's kind of unique about Virtua Racing. Initially released in 2014, this is Puyo Puyo Tetris. You can get this game nowadays on every modern platform, including the Switch. This was developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. This is a great game that couples Puyo Puyo and Tetris. If you're not familiar with Puyo Puyo, it's a match 4 falling block puzzle game that's really focused on combos. I'm not very good at this game, but I've always been into it ever since I played Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine on the Sega Genesis via the Sonic Mega Collection on the GameCube. Either way, Puyo Puyo Tetris is a great game that you can play for a couple minutes and play around a Tetris or Puyo Puyo and just have a blast playing it. There's also a really fun multiplayer mode that's up to 4 players that's also just a hoot if you have some friends over. So yeah, Puyo Puyo Tetris, great game. Something pretty funny about this game that my friends and I like to joke about is the voice acting. All the characters say little things when they're doing well, and I swear that this girl Ringo is saying salty when she gets a combo. Listen for yourself. Released in 2018, this is Mario Tennis Aces, published by Nintendo and developed by Camelot. This is a fantastic game, my favorite in the Mario Tennis franchise. The gameplay, the controls, the balancing is all so refined at this point that it's just a great game. The back and forth,
that you get when you get into a good rally is super fun. This game is really fun when you play singles, but I also really enjoy playing doubles. This is me and my partner Maisie playing. I've also played some great matches with my friend Kanban. We've really kicked some ass online, and it's really fun just to go online and play against some other randoms and just play together with a friend. It's just a great game that you can play for a pretty short amount of time. If you don't have a lot of time to play, you can just hop into a quick match and play some tennis. I highly recommend this game. Alright, next up, this is a kind of modernized version of a classic game, being PacMan. This is PacMan Championship Edition 2 Plus for the Nintendo Switch. This game is pretty fun. It takes the concept of Pac-Man and kind of expands upon it. It makes it super fast-paced and super psychedelic and kind of in your face and crazy. It's a fun game that you can play for a couple minutes. There's two different modes. There's an arcade-style mode that's more about you have a timer that ticks down, and then there's like a story mode where you can play specific challenges and you end up actually facing bosses, which are like the main ghosts from Pac-Man. This game is pretty fun. If I'm honest, I actually like Pac-Man Championship Edition 1 or DX better than this game, but those games are not on the Switch. So for talking Championship Edition, this is the only game you got on Switch. It's not a bad game, I just kind of prefer the first two. But either way, this game is still really fun, and if you're in the mood to play Pac-Man or something quick, but you don't want to play the old school game from the 80s, this game is a nice modern version of that. So yeah, Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 Plus. This is Marble It Up, released in 2018 for the Nintendo Switch. This is a spiritual sequel to a game called Marble Blast Ultra for the Xbox 360, released in like 2006. I played that game a whole bunch with my friend John McDonald, and this game is really fun. If you've played Monkey Ball, it's kind of a similar thing. You roll your spherical object to the goal, whereas in this game you control the marble instead of where in Monkey Ball you control the stage. This game is really tough. It can really challenge you, and it's really fun. It's also really fun to try and beat your old scores, your old times, and try to improve on the time that you got before. This game is really relaxing. It's got some cool stages. I'll show some cool footage while I'm talking about this. But it's just a really fun game, and you can play it for a couple minutes and have a blast with it. And yeah, Marble It Up for the Switch. It's fun. I feel like I can't go a couple of episodes without mentioning Metal Slug. This is one of my favorite games of all time, a true arcade classic released in 1996 for the Neo Geo. This game is a run and gun similar to Contra, where you run into the right and you shoot everything you possibly can. It's a tough game, but it's a fun game. The art style is incredible, timeless graphics. The music is great. If you haven't watched it, I made an episode all about this game's music a couple of years ago. You should check that out. I'll put a little card up at the top right for that if you haven't seen it. Anyway, this is a great game. Try it out. If you're into these kind of games, if you're into running guns, if you want to blow off some steam or something, give Metal Slug a shot. This is the first game. There's 5 of them on the Switch. Play whatever one you want. They're all fun. I recommend the first one, X, and 3. The other ones are all good, but those are my favorites. So yeah, Metal Slug. Play it. starting to near the end of this list here. This is Horizon Chase Turbo, released in 2018 for the Switch. This game is also on the other platforms, so it's not an exclusive. But this is a really fun game, kind of similar to Outrun. People also say it's similar to Top Gear, but I haven't really played those games, so I wouldn't know. I should play those games. I think there's one on Super Nintendo. Anyway, Horizon Chase Turbo is a really fun racing game. It's more about track memorization than anything, but the races are quick and there's a lot of them. You can play this game single player a whole bunch, and there's just so much content. There's DLC that's really cheap that you can that gives you more races. There's a tournament mode that's kind of like a Grand Prix style thing. So there's a lot of content in this game. It's really fun. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. If you learn the tracks, then you can do pretty well. And multiplayer is also really fun. So yeah, Horizon Chase Turbo. If you want to play a nice arcade-style racing game, give this one a shot. Next up, we have Magical Drop 3, an arcade game released by Data East in 1997. Magical Drop 3 is a puzzle game that sort of works like Puyo Puyo, except it's reversed. So you have your bubbles or your gems or whatever they are at the top of the screen, and you have to grab them and throw them back up. You have to match 3 of a color to make them disappear, and if you make combos or if you get matches of 3 in like quick successions, then it'll send garbage over to your opponent. So it's like a versus puzzle game, kind of like Puyo Puyo, or some of the newer versions of Tetris. But for me, it's something different. I haven't really played it that much up until recently, but it's something different, and it's a lot of fun if you're into puzzle games. It's quick, it's fast paced, and the characters are weird. So it's a good time. Magical Drop 3.
Ready? Go!
So for this last one, I'm going to cheat just a little bit. I'm going to include 3 games, but they're all under the NES Online app that you get for paying for Nintendo Switch Online. I know not everybody has that, but most people do, so this is kind of a good way to get a quick fix if you want to play a game for a couple minutes. 3 games here. So first one is Donkey Kong. Great arcade action, the support of the arcade game, it's pretty close, or it's close enough to the arcade game for me. Donkey Kong is classic, one of the best arcade games of all time. It's worth playing, and you can play for a couple minutes and get a game over, because this game is super hard. The next game is Balloon Fight. Balloon Fight's a fun Nintendo version of Joust, basically, that has some nice little music and nice sound effects. And there's a mode called Balloon Trip, which is super fun and just kind of like puts you on the right side of the screen, and you got to fly to the left and avoid like spikes, or maybe they're electric. Actually, they're electric things. You got to avoid electric things and collect balloons and score points, and get to listen to a cool song. The Balloon Trip song is very nice. And I saved the best for last. This is the classic Mario Brothers arcade game, or a port of it for the NES. Very similar to the arcade version. If you played any of the Super Mario Advance games, this game was bundled, or an updated version of this game was bundled with all of those games as well. This is a great arcade game. You can play this for hours if you really wanted to, but it's also great to play for a couple minutes. You have to hit enemies from the bottom to flip them over, and then you go and kick them off the stage. It's a really just like addicting formula that's just really fun. I really like Mario Brothers. Even the NES version that's on the NES app is great. It's worth giving it a shot, and it goes by quickly, especially because it's tough, but it also feels really good to keep pushing through and doing really well in the game. So yeah, Mario Brothers on the NES app.
So there you have it. That's 10 games for the Nintendo Switch that you can play for a couple minutes and feel some sense of accomplishment. I hope you liked this video. If you like this style of video, let me know. What are some games for the Nintendo Switch that you play for only a couple minutes that you feel like you actually did something in? I know there's games like Stardew Valley, which I'm sure is kind of like that. I never actually played that game, so I don't know. And I'm sure there's other games. There's actually games that I wanted to include on this list that I didn't because I just wanted to keep it at 10 and I didn't want to just talk forever. So again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below on what games you like to play that are bite-sized. And until next time, happy gaming.